Love Your Wife podcast. It's a Love Your Wife podcast. The Love Your Wife podcast. Love Your Wife. Love Your Wife podcast. The Love Your Wife podcast. The Love Your Wife podcast. Love Your Wife.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by aplanandplace.net. A Plan and Place sells customized planners for homeschool families. They help parents and students breeze through their homeschooling days. There's a planner for every age: early learners, elementary school, junior high, high school, and homeschool moms. Right now, you can get 10% off your entire order if you go to aplanandplace.net/loveyourwife and use the coupon code loveyourwife. That's aplanandplace.net/loveyourwife and use the coupon code loveyourwife. A Plan and Place, homeschool planners to help you breeze through your homeschooling days. My wife absolutely loves this planner. She uses it for our son. We were thinking about homeschooling, but we didn't really have a plan in place. So when we got this planner, it really kind of mapped out the day and showed us where we needed to go. She really loves it. This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Frickin' Frack Foods. This is 5-star in a jar, made with San Marzano tomatoes, no sugar added, no preservatives, no seed oils, crafted by hand at small batch production. When you try this sauce, there's no going back. Every time I go to Sprouts, I have to come back with a jar of this sauce, or my wife's upset. She's not really upset. She's more disappointed in me because I should know better. I should bring back this sauce for her. So if you're looking for this sauce, you can go to Sprouts. If you live in Georgia, you can go to Publix. You can go to frickinfrackfoods.com, and they have a nice little cafe in Canton, Georgia. Look them up, frickinfrackfoods.com.
This is the Love Your Wife podcast with your host, Dennis Byrne. Today we have a very special guest, Jerry Garcia. Jerry?
Hey, how's it going, man? How's it going, Dennis?
So, Jerry was a person that was suggested to me by Andrew Glaze, and he basically wrote me a message after he was on the podcast, and he said, you need to interview Jerry Garcia, because if you want somebody who really loves their wife, then you're looking for Jerry Garcia. And I thought that was a huge compliment. You know, for me, and I don't know if it's the same in your fire service, but for where I work, it's kind of like a weird thing to be like all lovey-dovey with your wife. It's kind of, I guess, frowned upon, you know. Do you guys have that similar thing where it's kind of looked, I don't want to say looked down on, but it's definitely, I guess it's weird. There's a stigma.
You know what? I think me and Myra were super comfortable in public, around people, like, and we just keep it professional, definitely with the workplace. So I don't mind if she pops into work, you know, introducing her to the guys or to the gals. And yeah, I love her, man. I love when she stops by and she'll drop off a goodie bags and, you know, drinks, and then she'll be mindful of everyone else too. So yeah.
So I remember it was a year ago when I first reached out to you. You said that you're not married, correct?
No, we're not officially married, but I feel like we are. We just haven't got it signed with pen and paper, but we have a house, we have bills, we got everything together. I mean, we spend every single day together. So, yeah.
And you've been together for about 9 years now, correct?
Yes.
All right. So one of my first questions I like to ask is, do you love your wife? In this case, your significant other. I guess by common law, right? It's 7 years. So you're pretty much married, right?
I think so, man. I call her my wife, man. You know, but yeah, I love Myra. Without her, I don't know where I'd be today. You know, not only physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, she definitely makes me a better man.
Nice. So let's talk about let's talk about how you guys met.
So, in the Southern California trail community, there's a lot of running groups, a lot of I believe this was like 2015, and I noticed her at one of the running groups, and I remember I would just send her a message here and there, or and wasn't really getting a response at the time. I was a full-on bachelor. Just like, I honestly thought I was going to be a bachelor for my rest of my life. Just like the lifestyle, just waking up, go to the gym, do whatever I wanted, and but I still like to date. And something about Myra, when I saw her, I don't know about her, she just like stood out, like with the street light just beaming on her, just stood out in the crowd. And we officially met at the start line of the OC Marathon. It's in Newport Beach, California. So it was the OC. Matter of fact, it was just yesterday, and we met briefly. We met briefly at the start line, introduction, and that was that. And then we went on our way. I think we both got BQs at that race, and the next race, I think I saw her was at the Revel Canyon, and she had got another Boston qualifier. And so I congratulate her. And then I remember I was like, you know what? I'm just going to shoot my shot and just ask her on a date. And I was like, hey, would you want to go out to dinner? And I thought maybe, she'll probably say no or something like that, and she said yes. So we got on our first date, and I remember I went home, I changed, and I hurried up we met in Pasadena. So it's Pasadena is like a lot of restaurants, Old Town Pasadena, like the Rose Parade. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So we thought, okay, that's a good mutual area. She's driving from LA. At the time, I was staying in a government house up in Arcadia. So we met up there. And when I get there, I realized I don't have my wallet. And I was like, oh, shit, yeah. So, and she pulls up right around that same time where I realized I don't have my wallet. And she's like, and I'm just like, oh man. I was like, hey, jump in. We got to go back to my place. And she looked at me like, what? Like, no, we just got here, I'm not like, and I was like, she's like, what happened? I was like, well, I forgot my wallet. And then she's like, she looked at me like, oh, like, not a big deal. Hey, don't worry about it. Let's just go. It's cool. And I was like, all right. And then, so anyways, we have dinner. I'm ordering water. I don't want to order no guacamole and chips or nothing like that.
Yeah.
And she orders me. She's like, no, order a soda or whatever, So I ordered the soda. She orders the guac and chips. And, because I'm still kind of like the first date, like, we go through the date, and we ended up even watching a movie after. I believe it was like a Mission Impossible that was out at the time, one of the part 2s or 3s. I don't know what part it was, but it was Tom Cruise out there flying outside of a plane, and so after that, that's when I realized, man, she's not just here for a free meal. She's not just trying to get wined and dined and because at that time, I was dating. I was used to meeting girls that were just like, what can I don't know, like if like get a meal and that's it, blah, blah, or something. I don't know. And so and that's just where I was at maturely as well. I felt like that's why I've grown so much since I've been with her. In all aspects of my life. So that's how kind of we met, and that was kind of like our first date in a quick nutshell.
All right. Did you, when she pulled up, were you doing the hands in the pockets, or you like tapping your pockets?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, what happened?
Like the good old, like, I don't know if that's happened to you, like the good old lunch trick when you guys go out to lunch with the guys, and then there's that one guy
Yeah.
that goes, oh man, my wallet, dude, can you
Yeah.
spot me? And you're like, oh, again?
Yeah, it's the same guy every time.
I was kind of thinking one of those, like, oh, I'm gonna be that, but yeah, I was doing that, but no,
Mm.
she was down to earth, cool. She's like level-headed, educated, and that's what kind of got me attracted to her even more on that part.
Before her, did you date any runners?
You know, uh, I was getting a bad reputation within the running community.
Okay.
Within, and even the girls, she told me after, and this is nothing I'm proud of, like, oh yeah, I got this bad reputation. No, it's kind of like, whoa, like, I mean, you think you're good, but there's these whispers that like, hey, watch out for him. Or
Okay.
she was getting some of those,
Mm.
that when we first started dating, like, hey, watch out. So I did date, but I would kind of dab out or, get in and then just kind of like, and that's how it was my whole life before that. Like my dating experience was just, and that's just where I was at. Just real immature. I think it was out of selfishness within myself. When I look back, it's just me being super selfish and not wanting to be selfless. So yeah, I did date, but and I knew I had a lot to prove, or
Mm.
not prove, but I guess to show, and with her that, hey, I'm not this guy that you're getting these whispers about, because I had a feeling like, girls talk, and
Yeah.
and the running community, Southern California, yeah, LA has 8 million, 9, 10 million people, but the running community is still small, where everybody kind of like, oh, they got the Valley Runners, and then you got South Bay, and you got, downtown, and you got, San Gabriel Valley Run. I don't know. It's just all, but everybody sees each other at these functions and stuff. And with social media, that circle is even tighter too, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine. So was this your longest relationship?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you weren't previously married before. You were
I was engaged before,
okay.
and but yeah, me and Myra have been holding strong, and and yeah, each day goes by, just right now, just her helping me out. She continues, like,
Yeah.
she's kind of showed me like what love is, her selflessness, being loving, giving, caring, understanding, family. uh, realize, like, man, like I have to, yeah, like I'm good at work and I could work hard, but there's more to it, like the people aspects of it and emotional aspect of it, of being a human being.
Yeah. That's something that has been brought to light more recently for my department. We had a passing of somebody. I don't know if you've ever heard, because it's structural firefighting, so it's different. But one of our captains, he's a legendary captain, Bill Gustin, passed away, and that was one of the things that he always mentioned was he was married to the fire service, and when it became something he could no longer do, it became like a depression. So it's been one of the things that we've been harping on is, make sure that your home life is good.
Yeah.
And not just dedicated. It's great to be, the best fireman you can be, and it's great to love your job, but you have to have, your own personal life.
No, definitely. I agree. I work hard. I come out and I play hard off shift, and then I definitely enjoy my time off. And then when it's time to check in back to work, because that's what pays the bills.
Hmm.
That's what's kind of giving me the days off that give me like what I need in life. And I'm super appreciative of the career, and it's not. I feel like it doesn't. define who I am,
Mm.
and it is a part of me. Definitely, you know, working for the fire department or United States Forest Service, and being out there with the crew. But yeah, having that separation, But there's always that off the clock thinking about what I got to do tomorrow. But I just feel like any type of career, any type of job, you always got to be kind of studying, prepping, um, even on your off time in a way, not like full
Mm.
blown, like you're doing sand tables and doing
Mm.
some sort of operational chalkboard training at home,
Mm.
but just having like some, and that's where I feel like my running kind of like when I go for my runs, I feel like I let all that out, any type of worries, anything I got going on at work, anything I got going on, emotionally, spiritually, anything like that. After I'm done with a little run, could be a short distance run, I feel good. I'm ready to tackle on the day
Mm.
and just, uh, yeah, go with it.
So I know that you still run. I just saw that you were a pacer for a marathon. You were doing a 3-hour marathon. Is that correct?
Yeah, that Los Angeles Marathon, I was a pacer for the 2:55 marathon
Oh,
group, which
that's impressive to be the
man,
pacer.
I've never done a pacing type group, and it was definitely a challenge. Uh, I was I wasn't registered for Los Angeles Marathon. Um, I would in January. I started building up a training block for it, and in January we got real busy with the Eaton fire and all these other local fires that popped off. So my training just stopped,
Mm.
and with that, I just kind of like, well, I still ran after, but I wasn't planning to go for a PR and give it my best at LA Marathon. So when my buddy Miguel hit me up and said, "Hey, do you want to you know co-pace with me?" I was like, "Man, let me go on this 20-mile run. Let me see how I feel."
Mm.
And I remember I hit a 20 miler, and I was like, well, and I felt like, well, maybe I could do 20 miles with them and then just bail off, be like, all right, man, I gave my best. But during that race, he was having a bad day, and he kind of like faded off a little bit. He still finished strong, but he faded off on the actual that 2:55 time.
Mm.
And I carried on the stick the whole way, but it was a grind, man. Sticking like to that pace and slow holding back, and then and keeping that marathon pace, because you're kind of like people are kind of relying on you. People, because I remember I would always use the pace leaders. I would kind of use them as a gauge. Like I would try to stay ahead of that certain mark,
Mm.
and then okay, if this guy passed me up, well, okay, I know where I'm at. So I noticed a lot of people were trying to stay a little like a run away from me kind of deal. Like maybe they wanted like a 250 or something.
Yeah, they're
So
like
yeah,
looking over
no,
their shoulder. Like,
yeah, 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 man. So no, it was fun though. Working at the city of LA, running from Dodger Stadium to Century City. It's just special. That race is just going through all the neighborhoods out there and the communities out there, finish line, and it's a big accomplishment. I
yeah.
love meeting people, doing their first marathons. uh, and you see a lot of that. You see a lot of people just out there on their first marathon, and you see their families. It's just like, yeah, I've done a lot of marathons, but I like seeing other people, cross that finish line, and because it's a huge accomplishment. Because I remember when
Mm.
I first started, I remember I had tears just coming down my eyes of like I had just gone to war, and I just, it's a big accomplishment. So I definitely respect any type of distance.
Mm. Yeah. One of the reasons why I asked that question is your wife still doing the marathons? She's still running?
Yeah, she's a beast. She's an
Yeah.
animal, man. When we met, I think she was injured. She was injured, and she was helping me. This is when I was deep in my 100-mile. races, doing ultras. I used to race a lot more when we first met, and she would be out there crewing me on the weekends and my training runs. And I was like, man, this is the life. I have, I have support. I have a young, I mean, because she's 10 years younger than me. So I have, Myra, she's out there on the trails with me. She's crewing me, and all I got to do is run. I come home, but then she started getting healthy, and then she has her own goals. So I noticed I had to, that was a little, I had a little adapt to it, because I think I got spoiled with her being out there crewing me a lot, even on the training runs.
Yeah.
So, and so she had her goals. I watched her get into the ultras, do her 100 miles. We just did Big Sur Marathon the week before. So going out there, and for some reason, like seeing her happy and smile, even though when I'm in pain, like it makes me like smile even like more, because I know that she's happy, because she has a way of being out there and just smiling and having a good time, and
Nice.
yeah. So we've done a few races before where we've been out there battling it out, and every time I finished like trashed, and she's came in finished like just singing and like and with a smile. yeah. So I'm like, right on. No, but I love it though.
Yeah, I love that question, man, because we just did a 50 miler together. Was it just north of Tampa, and just having her there with me, we pretty much run it together every time we run it. But it's great because every time we get in those lows, one of us is in a low, and we're talking like, "Oh, this sucks," I can't believe we're doing this again. Like, why would we ever do this? And the other one's in the high, so you give each other a little bit of motivation. And then 5 minutes later, it switches,
Yeah.
And she's like, I can't believe we're doing this again. Why would we ever do this? And I'm like, nah, we got it, babe.
Yeah.
It's crazy how that works out.
You know what? But one thing, I don't think she'll let me crew her though, because a couple times that I've crewed her, especially this last time, she did the jackpot ultras, and they're doing laps. Like they do, I think it's like a 2 mile, 4 mile loop or something in the park in Arizona, or Nevada, Henderson, Nevada. And I remember, I don't know, I went for my run. We had a little aid station, and her friend was helping her crew at first, but then she jumped in, or it was something where the responsibility wasn't like, I didn't have too much responsibility, but then it was just me crewing at that time. And I remember like I laid down just to like, just take a load off. And she came in. I'm just like laying down. She's like, "You're my crew. Like you're supposed to be." And I was like, "Oh shoot!" Like I didn't have anything ready. And then another time, the Javelina 100. I was gonna be our pacer, and I remember I was pretty pumped up. Like when you're pacing someone, when someone's running 80 miles, uh, uh, or they're already 80 miles in, mentally they could be in a bad spot, or maybe so anyways, I remember I was pumped up. I was like, all right, we're going to slam these 20 miles. And we're like, all right, let's go. And I ran ahead like, all right, let's go. Come on, you got this. And she didn't want to I think I was too much for her. She's like, you're too much for me right now. Cause I was just like a guy with a clipboard and a whistle, like trying to get her to do this Javelina loop. And yeah, so it wasn't a good time, but we made it. And she's like, I don't think I'll have you pace me again or something. Yeah. So it was, so she loves to run. And you know what, that's what we love about it is sometimes when we go for runs, as long as like we go on our trail runs, we'll start off together. And then as long as I know, maybe I'll peel off ahead, and then she knows the routes now. And as I'll hit a certain point, come back, and so as long as we're like we know we're both in the same area of vicinity, I think it makes it good. But yeah.
All right, so let's talk about. So you had your first date, and at what point did you guys kind of decide, like, hey, you know what, this is working out? I think we're gonna move in together.
I was ready way faster than her because I just knew, but she was just kind of like, whoa, like, just still kind of like, hey, this guy has this. She had the little whispers, little birds in her ear. And so it took a little time. Um, you know, I remember when I first started dating, um, like 6 months, I got like a little 2-bedroom place, and she still didn't move in like right away. She would come by, and finally, yeah, she just. But it took some time for her to, and it was one of the things like, actions speak louder than words. I could be this romantic talker and, oh yeah, this and that. And, but what am I doing, you know, outside of her? Or how am I treating her? And I think just with her life experiences, like, with her mom and dad and maybe her past relationships, she was just kind of like, hey, you know what? I'm definitely not looking. She's looking for these red flag and these guys or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that's what it was more than anything. Um, so, yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I want to say it was a little. It took a little time. I can't remember like the exact month or year, but it did take us some time where she finally, we got together and we fully moved in, and then we lived together for a few years. And I remember at the time, I'll kind of backtrack a little bit. Like financial wise, I was a mess. Straight out, I was just kind of like, or just irresponsible on my spending. Didn't really have a savings plan. Just like would go all out on these Dodger playoff tickets and just do all this stuff and then buy clothes and then just spend like anything that came out. Try to have this. And I remember when I got with her, like we started having that talk about finances and stuff like that, man.
Yeah.
And like her side was like, man, I was like, whoa, you're like super legit, like, what I mean? She's like,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, your savings and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I was like, I had to be straight out. It was kind of embarrassing. Like, hey, this is where I'm at. But she was like, okay, let's do this. Let's get into this plan. You need to stop doing this. We need to work up the credit. And that's what I did. I cut all the fat out and the spending, all that BS stuff. Because I didn't need to. I was I think just doing it just because of like an emptiness inside. I was this bachelor and just like I felt like I had to. And and so with her going back with how we kind of built up, and I started building my credit, and then that started going smooth, and then I saw it start jump and my savings, and then it was like, hey, why don't we get a house? And then she kind of did the footwork, and I was like, um, I'm a veteran as well, so I haven't I never tapped into none of my VA benefits or anything like that. She's like, hey, you have a VA, get a home loan and even and just like stuff like that, where I was just kind of like, well, I don't need it. Like, I'm not going to use it for whatever reason, egotistic type stuff. Like, and you know what? I am tapped in right now with the VA and getting stuff like that. And it's all because of her, where I've had to like think outside of myself or just whatever I had going on and think about, okay. And then we got, like, I honestly thought like I would never get a house. I was like, it's for other people. I would never get a house. I was just like, it's just not for me. And then when I saw us, like, man, we can. You know what I mean? We
Mm,
could. And then 2020 was the year,
yeah, for
with the
sure.
rates super low. And we went after it. And what helped out at the time, I was working at Texas Canyon Fire Station, and there was two other guys looking for a house at the time. And like seeing those two guys, it kind of fed into me like, oh, let me start looking too. So it's kind of weird. Like, you're around certain people,
Mm,
positive, and then it was pretty awesome because one guy got a house, a couple months later, another guy got a house, and then I was like the last one, and it was kind of cool because we kept, oh, how was the escrow, and how was this, and how was
yeah.
oh, the inspections, and so you could we fed off each other on that
Mm,
uh, at the station. So that was kind of cool to see, or to be a part of, and having that support, not only at work, but and then at home as well, to be able to get that and get a home, stuff like that. So yeah, man. I mean, we've come a long ways. Me and Myra, because back in the day, just little backstory of me. You know, shoot, I was living in my mom's garage. I was living with family members. I was living on the streets. I was homeless for a little bit, and uh, yeah. So and so for me to come up to where I'm at today, I'm definitely appreciative, definitely humbled. So I think I'm able to grasp on it more and see the importance of it because I've had my back against the wall and I've been down in the bottom. And so I feel like it's a continuous grind. Like it's never a feeling of like I arrived or I'm here or something like that. So
yeah.
it's a constant, like I feel like I'm constantly like that's my motivation. It's just not to be that person I was before and just to keep being better.
Yeah, now I can definitely understand why you didn't think you would ever buy a house, right? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
that on top of you said you were just trying to buy things to feel fulfilled. I mean, those two things make a lot of sense when you talk about your background.
Yeah. You get, not really dealing with issues. Uh, it's like that. I don't know if you heard the saying, like you take out the trash and you throw it away, but in the bottom of most, or not all trash cans, but some trash cans, especially the ones outside, there's all that gunk in the bottom that gets,
Mm,
just from the dust or just the build up stuff, and then that's the stuff that I try to get out and try to like scrape out because I feel like I've taken the trash out within myself, but there's still that stuff that I need to get in there and just scrape out.
good for you, man. It seems like you're definitely on the right track. It sounds like you're doing great from my
Yeah,
perspective.
man.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
No, I feel good today, man. I feel truly blessed. Um, and one thing that sticks out, I don't know if I'm jumping far too ahead,
Oh, go
but
ahead.
when you guys were talking about dads, man, I teared up when you and Glaze were talking about dads,
Mm,
and that's something that I tried today to work hard, treat my lady right, and just grind every day, but and because I know he's looking down on me on every day, and even though like I kind of would when he was alive, I would not judge him, but like be kind of like, man, why did he do this or why did he do that? And I just wish he was here, just so I could have those conversations of where I'm at today in life, man. But yeah, I just wanted to. I was thinking when I was thinking about your podcast, I was thinking about, it was like almost I love my dad as well. I love my dad's
yeah,
podcast, but I love my wife as well too. But I just wanted to throw that in there, man.
yeah. No, I appreciate that. It's definitely the Love Your Wife podcast, but I think as men, there's certain things that we just don't talk about.
Yeah.
We don't, and a loss of a father and what that does to your psyche, and something, your dad's been there for your whole life and then he's not. and
Yeah.
you always think he's going to be there. So what kind of questions did you want to ask him? Well, you know, that you didn't even know, because my dad ran marathons. That's what he did. And I didn't get into that until I was, you know, I guess 33. I'm 39 right now. And by that time he'd passed. So I didn't ask him about his nutrition, you know, his training schedule. I didn't ask him anything about running. And that was a big part of his life. So now I kind of feel like an asshole because it was a big part of his life. And it's like, I was just like, oh, whatever. Yeah, dad runs, I guess, you know.
That's
What's
fun.
that
Yeah.
about?
No, that's funny because I mean, my dad was the same way too. When he was a big runner, he did AC 100 as well. Did a bunch of marathons, Boston. But I remember when I was younger, I was just like, oh, he's going through a midlife crisis. He's running like
Mhm.
that's just like a dad thing or something. I don't know. And at the time, I was like in my early 20s, or I was in the streets or whatever. And it wasn't until my first marathon, 2009. I remember he saw me at the finish line,
Mm.
and he just had this big smile, and because he knew, like, he saw me defeated, and he just, because he knew I didn't train, and I was just out there winging it, and,
Yeah.
so yeah, but he saw me. Yeah, I think one of the, I mean, he's got to see me run and get some accomplishments out there. So, man, it was definitely, I definitely miss him, man.
Mm. Well, I think it's one of those reasons why I did get into running. It was more or less for him, you know?
Right on.
But yeah. So let's talk about, you said you bought the house. I'm assuming you guys went in together, like her name was on the lease or the mortgage.
No, since it's a VA loan, you
Okay.
have to be officially married to be on the mortgage. But
Mhm.
yeah, so my name's on it, but she's full on in it, on it, on different bills and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, we're committed, man. We're in Palmdale, California, which is an hour north of Los Angeles, but with traffic at certain times of the day, it could be definitely like an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending what time you leave or when you're going to work as well. There's a lot of people that commute from Palmdale down the 14 freeway into the Valley or Los Angeles area. So we moved up. We were actually living in Altadena area uh, for a good few years before we moved up here. So it was a big jump.
Mhm.
Moving up to Palmdale, it wasn't like an ideal like oasis type community or city to move to, but financially and just it just would made sense where to buy a house and not have to worry about working overtime, doing all this
Mhm.
crazy stuff
Yeah.
just to pay the mortgage. It was just like at that time, 2020, it was a good spot to like with her and me on a base salary, and now not worry about that stress of like feeding for those extra days to work or
Yeah.
something. Because I
Yeah.
mean, the overtime comes, it's there, but sometimes I see people just like fiending for overtime, and I'm just like, and I see why when you understand their situation. You're like, oh shoot, that's why you're just like, it's not just because you want to go to Disneyland. It's because you have to live. Like you
Yeah.
gotta live.
Which is not a good thing.
No, no, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that's a catch-22 too, because one of my officer right now, he always tells us, it's nice to work the overtime. It's nice to do swaps for the brothers, but at the same time, when you're working overtime and you're doing swaps, you're not at home. And
Yeah,
your wife, if she doesn't communicate it properly, because some women, they don't want to be like a burden, right? Or nagging, and they won't tell you like, I just want you home. But they think making money is more important. And then some time goes down the road and then they end up getting divorced because they're never there. So you don't want to be in that position where at least for me and for you, where you have to work overtime to just live instead of working, 48 hours a week. It's whatever, 72, whatnot. But, all right. So let's talk about, you guys just had some pretty big fires over there, right?
Yeah.
So with your wife right now, does she like when you come home and talk about these fires that you have to deal with and the things that you have to see? Or is she, because some wives, they don't really want to hear what we have going on shift, they don't want to know about, the kids that, the calls that we run, and or some of the fires and the things that we have to see. So is she open to communication with that?
Yeah, she's definitely, I mean, not just about the job, but just about anything. Myra loves to, like, she's a great communicator. And whenever I got something going on, she stops, looks at me, and wants to know what's going on. And she could see it in my face. Or if it's a good thing, bad thing, I feel like it's important to have that communication, to have somebody to you know to just talk, whether it's good or bad. And I feel like with Myra, like, she's definitely my best friend, where I could open up to her, and she's cool about it. She likes to hear about it. Sometimes I'll say just a little bit, and she'll be like, "Wait, what do you mean?" Like, because I'm thinking in my head, like, she knows what I'm talking about, like the
Yeah.
terminology or lingo, and she's like, so I have to kind of like break it down to her a little bit. But and that's where I've practiced. When I come home, is like, she wants to tell me about her day, and because she used to be a social worker, and helping homeless, working with people with disabilities. And I would hear her day, and I'll be like, man, like, I would not want to be dealing with that stuff or something
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so
No,
I
I'm with
feel,
her.
I feel like my day wasn't that bad compared to, like, the stuff as a social worker would have to go through. I mean, now she's into hookah marketing and stuff like that. So she
Oh,
has a whole
nice.
different career, and I sense, like night and day, just her happiness of, like, you're going happy to going to work. You feel good going to work. You don't want to have, like, this face, like, oh, like, I'm just trying to clock in, clock out, like uh and I remember she used to have that look, like I don't know, like, wasn't happy type of look. And
Mm.
now she's even more happier to go to work, and in the community and stuff like that. But yeah, January was a super busy year. 2024 was super busy. I feel like every year it's almost like it's a unique busyness for wildland fires, because we're a federal resource. We go up and down the state, down the San Diego border, all the way Northern California border, or out of state, out of region. And so our summertime is super busy. And that's one thing, honestly, I feel like it helps us. Not helps us like, oh, we're busy like that, but you know, there's times where I work 20 days straight.
Mm.
I'm grinding going in, but, like, I'm communicating, I'm talking with her, just sending quick messages, and she totally understands, and the lifestyle, and she's supportive. And then when we had these local fires, she was coordinating donations and doing stuff, and then having drop offs. And she was like, I was getting overwhelmed with messages, and then she would kind of like take over, and she was kind of like the operations on, like, donations or something, like, just like a small part of it though. And
Mm.
so she's super supportive. I think she loves what I do, like, being out there. uh, I mean, we're both trail runners, so she definitely appreciates the trails.
Mm.
So when in 2020, we had a big fire called the Bobcat Fire, just really ripped through our forests and damaged our trails. And then, in January, with the Eden Fire starting in the foothills above Pasadena, Altadena, and then just making a run down into the community. Like one of those fires that we always talk about, that we train about, the wildland urban interface. And okay, it's like, but we're doing it on a sand table and talking about it. But now you got embers flying over your head, spotting 2 miles deep into a community. Um, and I just remembered that night, man, I shot her a text and I was like, because we got off the freeway off ramp and I seen the hillside and I was like, hey, I just said it's going to be a long night. I'll talk to you later. And she knew right away I wasn't getting all this. It's like, that's one thing I love about her. I could just shoot her like, hey, going into the mountains, going to be a long night. Boom. Like she knows. And then she's able to track me on the iPhone tracker. So she knows like, okay, like I'm in the mountains, I'm doing something, like I'm getting after it. And then the media is all over it. And then she's watching on the news. So it's not like, we're in this small community where, anything pops off in Los Angeles, especially, the media is all over it. It's just all over the news. And so, I mean, by this time, everybody knows that Eaton Fire is going off, and because the Palisades was ripping earlier that day. So yeah, man, the Eaton Fire was definitely a grind for sure, man. It's one of the times I've ever, like, I felt helpless, but I felt like, you know what, we got to do something. We got to, like, the public is looking at us. The public is looking at our trucks with the shield on it. They're looking at our shoulder with the patch on it. I feel like we're expected to provide a service, obviously, like, our safety and everything first. But, I remember seeing people, hey, where's everybody at? Having the people scream and just yelling, and people upset, with evacuations. And, you do what you can. I remember with our crew at the time, I was on crew 41 and a 20-man crew. And you know what? Hey, let's just cut brush around this house. Hey, let's cut brush around here. Let's go check up Chantry Flats and see where we can evacuate, and come down and you just try to move. I remember someone said, hey, go back to the Rose Bowl. And I was like, why? Like, the Rose Bowl was a little bit further away from the incident, but that's where they set up the command post. And I was like in my head, like, no way I'm going to drop all the way back to the Rose Bowl while all this is going on. You know what I mean? But we ended up getting an assignment, getting plugged in, and just, and I can see that, a lot of the firefighters, like, nobody's been in this situation before. It's a new for everybody. So everybody reacts a little bit different. You get kind of like seeing like, hey, what are we doing here? It's like, hey, like, what is anybody doing here? Like someone's got to be up here doing something, man. I mean, obviously, like, safety is first, but I felt like we were always safe. But we had to be in there at least doing something, man. Just at least if it was scouting, seeing where it was at, being in contact with the division, giving updates. There was a lot going on. It was very chaotic. I could just imagine every unit has their own story of what they went through, because every time I looked down the street, there was people getting after it or doing something. You look down this way and there's people like getting after it, doing something, and it's just like, embers going over them. No, man, and that's one thing. I hope I never see again, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
And that day, I remember, for some reason, I had this eerie feeling in my stomach. Uh, it was like a bad feeling. Like the winds were blowing super hard that day, and I remember I was like, hey, we gotta, let's touch up on our wildland urban interface training. Let's start scouting these cul-de-sacs. Let's start. I remember earlier in the day, I was already like it's coming, man. And then I heard on the county scan before we have our federal dispatcher, and we have we could still scan the LA County radios. And the first thing I heard was hey, we got a brush fire, 10 acres, making a run down Eaton Canyon. And we just like jumped up and took off, man. And it's just like, yeah, it was pretty intense, man. That January, I'll never forget that day, man. January 7th, man, just going after it. And, but big, you know, you know, for 14 days after that, I was committed on that. And I seen that when it started, and then just seen the devastation through it, the impact to the community. We had a coworker lose her house, the running community, people lose their house, and just people in general, man, like so displaced. A lot of people, yeah, thousands of homes, you know. So that it was definitely a traumatic, catastrophic type event that we want to prevent those type of. And I don't think there's, you know, if we had like a full on fog pattern with 100 nozzles, I don't think that would have even provided a shield. If we get, you know what I mean, like all that on the foothills, it would have just went over right after that. Yeah, it's been busy, man.
It must have been. So my wife is also a firefighter, and so she knows, you know, the day-to-day, you know, dangers of the profession. But I can imagine being your wife, knowing that you're in there, watching the news, seeing the fires, seeing the devastation, and just being worried, you know, because I was watching it in Miami, and I think I wrote you a text. Yeah, you know, I was like, "Hey, man, are you good?" I was like, "What's happening over there, dude?" It looked crazy.
Yeah.
Did she talk to you about it afterwards, or did you just continuously give her shoot her a text and give her a heads up of what was going on?
Yeah, no, I think every day, you know, I'd break off, you know, 5 minutes here and there, give her an update, check in, um, and you know, because I felt like, you know, it was important, and it was important for my sanity too, just to be like hear her voice. So I hung up, and then I was like, okay, what's the plan? What are we doing today? Okay, keep my head right. I feel like having her, she definitely keeps my head right, with the support. You know how it is. You know, you got that support. You feel like, at least for me, I just feel like whatever it is, and then if it's work, running, uh, you know, I just, yeah, it just makes it a lot better, man. And but like I said, like, it took me years to get. I felt like just to mature to this level right now, man. You know, I don't think I was ready when I met her. I was definitely not in this headspace, like, you know, work wise and stuff like that. So she's made me a better person. She's seen me promote. Like when I met her, I was just like a mid-level firefighter, because I honestly thought I was just gonna be like, oh, I'm just gonna be a mid-level firefighter the rest of my career, because I'll be the senior mid-level firefighter. I'll have the days off I get to get, and I don't have the responsibilities of being a driver. I don't have the responsibilities of being a module leader. I could just stay there and I could just race and do this stuff, and I don't know. That was my thinking back then. Like I was like, I'm just gonna hang out and do this, and then getting with her, like, you know, I got like an assistant engineer, an engineer, and then a captain. So it's like, and each time, like, and she didn't tell me like nothing. She didn't say, hey, I need you to promote. But I just felt like, hey, it's like, if I'm gonna be a man, or I mean, not just be a man, but just like, um have a life with her, like I feel like she would want somebody that's gonna be grinding and not just like coming to work, uh, you know, flipping channels and just hanging out at work or something like that. She wants somebody, because I want somebody like that, and she motivates me. Seeing her, like, just she's like around the house. She does laps around the house, like with just like cleaning and like like I'm folding like 3 shirts and she's like 20 shirts in something, you know. I don't know the number, but I'm just like, I'm folding and she's just like boom, boom, boom. So like, you know, you feed off who you're around with, and then so when I'm around her, like, And but she has this really loving energy about her. Like, she's not like, come on, let's go, or nothing like that. She doesn't talk to me like that at all. And matter of fact, I remember when I started promoting, like, I would kind of come home and I'd be like, oh yeah, we need to do this, because I was like young in my leadership thing. So I would kind of carry that leadership to the house. And I remember one time she was like, no, don't bring that. Don't be coming in here being like, I think there was one thing, like the trash wasn't out. Oh, the trash not out. Or I said something. So I caught on quick, like, hey, when I come home, just chill out. So now when I come home, I'm not even like, every time I come home, the dinner's made. And if she's gone, she has something in the fridge. She writes a note, hey, warm this up. She'll get the extra snacks I need. So she does a lot. She does a lot for the house, man. And yeah, super supportive, man. Super supportive. And in return, I do my best to make her feel appreciative, feel loved, and treat her the way that that I feel like a man should be treating a woman, which is just expressing to her, being kind, being respectful, not disrespecting her at all, and in that area. So yeah.
Yeah, I liked how you mentioned that with her love and devotion, I guess, you feel like you could do anything, right? I feel the same way. If you don't have that, then that's your goal. Your goal is to have it. Your
Yeah.
goal is to have a spouse that has your back. So if you don't have it, then you're kind of looking for it, and it makes everything else kind of difficult. But then when all those chips fall in line and your wife has your back and you feel like you can run through a wall and you feel like any kind of crazy thing you come up with, not every crazy thing, because sometimes they gotta dial you back a little bit, but you feel like with their support you could do it.
Yes.
So it's great that you definitely get that support from her. So how has your relationship changed throughout the years?
It's developed. I feel like, well, not only like financially, how I kind of broke it down, like,
Yeah.
I was credit a mess and just stuff like that. But I remember the way I dressed. I was still kind of wearing those baggy clothes. I don't know. I thought I was looking good, but she was like, hey, maybe you should start, I don't know. So maybe it was the age gap too. Maybe I was still stuck in that 90s style or something. And so that kind of like, just stuff like that financially, the way I started dressing, um, and just being more career minded, and just not being selfish. I feel, not just being selfless. And what I mean by that, what is just not like being interested in her needs and her goals and her TV shows, not like, hey, we're going to watch this every night. It's just going to be ESPN and that's all. There's a game on or something, Now I'm okay. Like, if she wants to watch the Kardashians or whatever she's watching, like, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, and because she likes her little shows too. And just being super supportive. I feel like it's grown in that way. And like the maturity, uh, like I said, like at work, it's helped me grow into a better person. And I feel like there's constant work though too. Like just like complacency, man. You could start falling back, and I kind of use that. That's why at work I love just sticking to the basics, just keeping that edge. And then with the relationship, I need to keep it with the basics as well. Don't get comfortable. Don't be like, oh yeah, I scored, I just need to hang out now. Like, she's here for the rest of my life and she's not going to leave. I don't know. You know what I mean? But I don't want her to give that thought of like, to have to even imagine that thought, like, oh, why am I in this relationship and all this stuff? I'm like, keep her feeling good. I think, you treat your lady right, man. She's going to why would she want to leave you?
Yeah. That's one of the things too in the fire service. I always try to go above and beyond and try to think of how I could do things better, right?
Yeah.
But I think about it constantly. And then I got to the point where I was thinking, well, why am I not doing this for my wife? You know, like I would clean the truck out every night, you know, and vacuum it out, wipe the floor, clean my tools. And then when she's on shift and I'm here, I would just go to sleep. You know, I wouldn't sweep the floor. I wouldn't mop the floor. I wouldn't do the dishes. And I'm like, I wouldn't do that at the firehouse, you know? So it was one of those things where I was like, all right, there's some room for improvement here. So that's when I started, you know, tweaking things up a little bit. But I feel like, I don't know if it's just a men thing, or it's just people in general. They don't really give much thought to their personal relationships for whatever reason, you know? So that's part of the reason why I started this podcast too, because if you hear something and it gets you thinking, and then you talk to your wife about it, then you're having a conversation about your relationship, which is something that I don't feel like a lot of people do. You know, they just go day to day. And, you know, that's why I feel like, you know, some marriages like fall to the backside and then they become like an afterthought. But, yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know, you hit about, you know, the dishes or maybe like, you know, the house. And yeah, she hates when I start cleaning shit. Like when I tell her like, hey, I'm gonna start cleaning the house, she's like, no, wait till because like I put stuff away and it's like it's her stuff. And like, and then I'll not forget, but like and then she comes home. So she likes to kind of like, I mean, obviously, like, you know, the dishes, laundry, that type of stuff. But there was like other stuff, you know. Me, I like to put the chairs on, like, you know, how you flip it over and you're on the dining room table and you have everything out. Like, but the thing is, I'll do that, but I'll leave it like that, like for the whole day, not take them down. Like, I just like that look of like having the tables flipped up but yeah, just so this, I feel like when you were, that's why I laughed when you're talking about like, you know, make sure the station's clean, but coming home, uh, yeah, and then she's kind of like picking up some of my stuff, and that's definitely something that I need to work on more continuous on a daily basis, and just having this good team effort. And I love that you have this podcast because, you know, sharing about this, talking about it, you know, I could always go back to it and I could be like, okay, how am I growing from this? Am I staying stagnant? Because, you know, I don't want to I don't want her or me to feel like, you know, what am I doing in this relationship? Because if not, like, why are we here? Like, why are we together? Like, why are we doing this? And um, the point of my life when I knew, like, because I hadn't, like I said, I lived this long bachelor lifestyle. I felt like I've done all the dating, all that stuff. And when I met her, I was like, she comes from a good family. You know, her mom, like, you know, just like, and just her values, her morals. Um, that's what I was like definitely attracted to her, like, you know, and because I mean, you know, that dating scene, it's wild out there, man. It's wild, and you know, and I felt like I was out there and chasing something that I don't know what I was chasing. I was always thinking like there's this other, I don't know what it was. Like I would date someone and then move on, date someone and move on, date someone and move on. And with her, it was like I don't have to move on. This is her right here. This is it right here. And but now I got to continue to feed that and make her feel special, make her feel like appreciative, because it took me a while like to understand, like, you know, the female species, the male species, were two different type of species out there, and we're there, you know, you know to mate or whatever you call it, you know what I mean, to be together. I don't know, but I don't want to get too down that rabbit hole on that. But I just feel like, you know, sharing that together is a beautiful thing, man. Yeah.
No, it's definitely interesting that you were going down that way of dating, right? And then you met her, And for like you said, you don't even know what it was. You weren't sure that she had like a glow around her. I feel that
Yeah.
way about my wife too. I told her that she's kind of like the moon on a clear night where it just has like a glow around it, you know, when it's a full moon.
Yeah.
But like sometimes you just don't know what it is. You know, you just see him, and I think at that moment you just knew, right? Was that love at first sight, you think? Is that what you would call that, or is it more like after the first date that's when you really knew?
You know, I would say the first sight, but I know for her, I think she says it was different. She had to kind of like wait a little bit, but I knew, like, I'm like, man, she's a good girl, um, a good woman, and I just knew. I was like, she's the one. But then I didn't want to be too
Yeah.
like all
You don't
this,
want to
like,
scare him off.
yeah, like,
Right?
oh, hey, like,
Mhm.
so I had to play it cool too, you know, like, but, yeah, so like I said, man, I had definitely some work to do though, because it didn't come easy though. It
Mhm.
didn't come easy. I had to be like full blown gentleman to the max, and it teach. I still have to be that way too, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've grown. She's made me a stronger person, and I still want to be stronger with her, man. Just something about her smile. Um, you know, anytime there's like a family event, or even when my dad passed away, man, she jumped into action. She was coordinating, you know, with the funeral home. She knew somebody. She got that plugged in with the, just, you know, there's a lot that goes on with that. And I remember me and my brothers were just kind of like, oh man, I don't know, or this and that. And she just, boom, she's in it, you know, making calls and, um, just just getting stuff happen, or if something happens with the, she's big on family. Something happens in family, she jumps right in head first and tackles it, man. And she's show, like I said, continues to show me selflessness, like
Mhm.
to the max. And I feel like I'm definitely not there yet where I'm chasing it, but I'm not, like, I feel like her heart is just huge, man.
Mhm.
Huge. And I'm like, I need to get there. Something I'm definitely striving for.
Yeah. It's good that you keep those moments right in your mind where when you just met her and you talk about that and the way she made you feel. And what I kind of do is, it's only happened once because I've only been married for 6 years, but every 5 years we're going to break out our vows, and it's going to remind us the way we felt when we were writing these vows, and see where we are, right? See how we kept up with it. Kind of like you mentioned with the podcast, you could listen back to it and be like, oh, do I still feel this way? Or if not, why? Or how can I ramp things up a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you have kids? Do you plan on having kids?
We do plan on having kids. So
Okay.
the thing is, you know, since she's younger, uh, you know, we do plan on having a kid here soon. So
Okay.
yeah. But right now we just have a little fur baby, Coco,
Okay.
little dog. So right now she's our baby right now.
How's that
Uh,
going?
it's good, man.
Yeah.
She's good. Yeah, she popped in here a couple times because she knows Myra's gone and it's just me, so she just comes in here and checks on. But yeah, I love her, man. You know, uh, you know, she kind of came at a certain time in her life where she kind of like, uh, you know, how dogs are, man. Just they're just
Yeah.
heaven sent, man. They just look at you and unconditional love, man. And that's an example too, just unconditional love, how a dog just looks at you and just waiting for you to get home and stuff like that. So um, but she's definitely a mama's girl for sure,
Mm,
because she gets excited when I come home, but she gets definitely more excited when Myra gets home. Yeah.
yeah. I like talking about the unconditional love because I feel like we use that too early in relationships, because there needs to be a condition before you have unconditional love, you know? So when everything's great and you're just starting out, you're like, "Oh yeah, I love you unconditionally." And then some problems arise, and then some dudes are like, "You know what? Maybe not. Maybe not."
Yeah.
So So speaking on that, would you like to talk about any tough times that you guys had to overcome as a couple?
I don't think we haven't gone through. I wouldn't say like a tough time. We have some disagreements, but like financially, romantically, or anything like that, I don't think we've hit a true like like a crisis or anything like that.
Nice, man.
We do have some disagreements, like, oh, let's do this or the running route or something. I don't know,
Mm,
but
but nothing major, right?
no,
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 that's
man.
awesome.
No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe my snoring. I don't know. But yeah, we do have a guest room, and then I've had to sleep in that guest room a couple nights here and there.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, I don't think I do. So, like, like, no, I'm good. But I guess apparently, uh, I guess that's one of those things
Hmm.
that, and I don't know, but no, man. I think just from my experience, seeing my mom and dad kind of go through their struggles, and then her mom and dad go through her struggles. I think, and then her going, like me being through my all my struggles and my past relationships.
Hmm.
Like I felt like even though like I've dated, like I still like remember like what I did or what I could have done better. And I feel like now with her, like I've had all those uh like I know what I gotta do
Hmm.
um to make it right and to make this relationship, this this companionship, this love ship, um just life in general, because yeah, we're at work, but we share like our stuff, everything together. And, at least like when I come home, I want to be able to like be like happy, be
Hmm.
good. And so that's what we strive for every single time, man. Um, and I think the struggles I've had, I think is, because she's big in the running community of like going places, doing stuff, gatherings. And sometimes, I don't know if it's, I just blame work, like, oh, I'm tired from work. I just want to stay. I would say, I don't know if that's a big thing, but I know that's something I got to work on. Even if I'm tired, hey, maybe just get dressed, go to the event, so we could be together.
Hmm.
And that's maybe do a little sacrifice on that instead of just, oh, I'm tired or something. I'm just going to stay home. And then because, yeah, because I know that's a big part of her is being in the community, uh, not only running, but her friends, her family. And I could see that's something where I could work on, where just being more available to those type of events and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
man.
tough, man. I
But I gotta
don't.
be honest, because she's gonna listen and she'll be like,
Mhm.
"Hey, well, what about these times that you
Yeah.
don't?"
There you go.
you know?
Yeah, there you go.
So there it is. I
Yeah.
admitted to
Yeah,
it.
it's one of these things where, if I don't sleep well at night, because there's a chance I don't, right? Just
Yeah.
like you. And then I go to these events, or you go to these events. I'm trying to have your back here a little bit. But sometimes you're just like, just so dead tired that maybe they wish that you weren't there,
Yeah.
because your mood's not going to be great and you're going to be just trying to find a place to kind of sit down to close your eyes for a second.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's nice to support your spouse. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely, man.
so how do you deal with women flirting with you?
I remember I heard that question on Glaze's one.
Yeah.
That was a pretty interesting one. So me, like, I just kind of take it like if a woman, I don't know if they flirt, but with you can't give them a reason, you know, especially like in the running community, you see a female, talk to them, hey, hi. But I think keeping that professionalism and then kind of stopping it right there, not just kind of keeping it going. So I try to give my energy, not like oh, I'm a flirtatious guy and all this stuff like that. I put it out there like, hey, I love Myra. I'm with her. Um, so I think it has to do with how if you want to play with it or flirt with it or as well.
Mm,
So I definitely, I've had people cheat on me in the past and it sucks. And I know she's had someone cheat on her in the past and it sucks. So that's always like a big, like, no, because, what I do, I wouldn't want her to be, sneaking around, doing anything like that, man. So, um, yeah, I think with flirting wise, it's good to like say hi and bye and stuff like that, but just keeping a professionalism uh, with them when you see them and just having respect for your lady because I wouldn't want that if some guy just kind of like, oh, hey, just kind of doing a little flirt. Um, but here's the tricky thing. Myra's in the community, more talking, has to be professional and stuff like that. But she doesn't put out that energy
mm.
where, if she is talking to a guy, the guy, he better not be thinking like, oh yeah, she wants to be with, what I mean? Like, so anyways, I try to give out the energy where if I'm talking, if I do talk to a female, I'm not giving her the energy like where I'm like, hey, like, what are you doing after?
Yeah.
This and that. I mean, I think there's a limit, man, because I think we are going to communicate with the other sex. We are going to be, uh, you know, talking to people, but just being professional about it, being legit,
Mm.
and not, and if there is a flirting, just not feeding into it.
Yeah, I like asking that question because I feel like some people have a hard time when they get flirted with, they can't back away from it.
Uh,
But keeping it professional, like you said, also you're respecting your significant other if you don't flirt, right? Or
yeah,
you
yeah.
keep it professional, and that's what you said. You said it's a respect thing.
Yeah, no, and
Yeah.
not only like, like now at work, I'm doing public events. I'm out there, or I'm at the gym, just being respectful, not being this gawker at the gym,
Mm.
or I don't know if is it called gawking? Is that a word? Is that where they kind of look?
I
I'm
I
trying to
think
find
so.
like a
I think so. There was like this trend a
or
couple years ago where
or a
girls were like,
hockey
"Oh,
or something.
this guy's looking at me," and then they'd record him. It's like, brother,
Yeah.
there's nowhere to look. Like I was at the gym today, and I was like, I everywhere I look, there's a girl. It's like, what am I supposed to just keep my eyes closed and head down the whole time?
Yeah,
You
but I'm
know?
saying that. But the point is like we're not out there drinking a smoothie in the parking lot with her or after the gym and stuff like
Yeah,
that. You know what I mean? It's just
yeah.
like working out in the community, at work, talking to people. Um, you know, that's how I feel. Like, and if I feel like a girl's flirting, I
Mm.
just like keep it legit, man. Just keep it cool. Say, all right, cool. You know what I mean? Like a little flattered, okay, cool, but as men, maybe there's like this little egotistic thing, and you kind of see it. You see people feed into
Yeah,
it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
definitely.
Yeah, they definitely do that, man. But I just wouldn't want nobody doing that to me, so I'm not gonna do that uh, to Myra for sure.
Mm. So, what do you think keeps a man from cheating?
I'm gonna say, if they don't love their wife, then they're gonna cheat. If they love their wife, or you know what, I'm gonna take that back because maybe they say that they love their wife and they love this, but
Mm.
I just think it's just maturity, man. It's just like an egotistic type of behavior. I think like you got to be, for me, like if if we're gonna be cheating, then what is the point of being in this relationship? Like I might as well just stay a bachelor,
Mm.
living this single single life or whatever. But when it comes to cheating, man, and you see it out there, and it sucks. It
Yeah.
definitely sucks, man. I'm gonna admit, I see it out there, and not only just the workplace, but you see, from friends or whatever being cheated on, and in the past, man, um, it's just don't, man. I mean, don't do it. And if you are, just like get out of the relationship. That's how I see it.
Yeah. For me,
Yeah.
it's a heartbreaking thing to see somebody I respect cheating.
Yeah.
For me, I hate to see that. It's I would say heartbreaking is the right word. I'd be like, man, I thought you were one of the good guys,
You know what? Thinking like that, like, or saying that just made me reflect on, like, especially if there's a leader at work, and then you see them talking about leadership and core values, and I'm just like, okay, you're talking about core values, but you're doing this or something. I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah.
I've been disappointed before, and so yeah, it's like, and if I want to be a leader, if I'm be a captain, I want guys following me. I'm out there effing around doing that. How are they going to look at me to lead them if I'm like talking about core values, duty, respect, integrity, and I
Exactly.
live, yeah, I live that to the core, man. Duty, respect, integrity,
Mm.
and yeah, it sucks, man. It's just a dirty emotional game to play with people, and I think it's a lot of selfishness, egotistic, uh, pridefulness. I don't know what it is, man. It's just a
Mm.
lot of, like, I feel, uh, just bad stuff, bad values.
So do you think men and women can be friends? Just friends?
I think professionally, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, friends,
professionally for
man.
sure.
Yeah, professionally, legit friends. I don't think, I'm not gonna pick up my phone and talk to a girl for like 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna hang up, and Myra's, oh, who are you talking to? Oh, just talking to my friend so and so. I'm not gonna do that, man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no, if it's a legit, hey, I got this going on, or this, is there any way you could help me out, or do you know someone that do this? Keeping like cool like that, or if you run into somebody, I have a lot of female friends, like on social media, say hi,
Yeah.
comment, hey, okay, thank you, comment back, say thank you, appreciate that. Um, you know, uh, but as far as like, like a dinner date friend and all that,
Yeah.
like, we're gonna go have a smoothie after the gym. Hey, can we go squat together or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
No, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. I'd be like, hey babe, I'm gonna be a little late because I'm hanging out with this chick.
yeah,
No
yeah,
way.
yeah.
No way.
No,
Yeah. So what's your favorite interaction that you and your wife have?
I would say, not only, when we see each other like in the morning, she's definitely, like, you talk about interaction, like when we see each other, or
Yeah, just like for example, I love when I come home from shift and my wife has coffee ready and we get a cup of coffee, we sit on the couch, we talk about our days, and my son's running around. I got a 3-year-old. He's running around playing with cars and it's hard to focus, while he's like running around screaming, but we try to have a conversation where it's just me and her, and then after that, then we go to the gym, we do our runs, we whatever we got to do the rest of the day. But we just try to have that time where we could just talk,
yeah. I would say the least I'll start with the least interaction,
All
is
right.
because I love to get up early, and
Okay.
she's not a morning person, so I'm like, trying to tiptoe and stuff like that, kiss her goodbye. But it's funny, man, because some days she's okay with it, but then some days she's like, hey. But the best interaction I love is, uh yeah, when she comes home, like when she comes home tonight, she just
Mhm.
left, she's gonna be out in the field. and or when I come home, uh, you know, Coco the dog is just jumping all over her. I'm right there with her, helping her out, and just hearing about her day. She's got like this day that I'm pretty sure after today, she's in the Hoka marketing, so she's out there talking to people, going to stores, and just hearing about her adventure of the area she went to, and then when I come home from work, um, but I'll give it like yesterday we went to the movies, and we haven't gone to the movies in years, man, and I felt like just me and her going to the movies. At the movies, you're not going to be on your phone. You're not going to do anything. Just to be hanging out, just watching the movie, just having some popcorn and stuff like that, man. And to me, that was kind of like, it's almost like going back to the basics because, when we first started dating, it's always the movies and movies, and, because you're like, you got to go watch a movie or something. I don't know. Or, well, for us, we were going on the trails, but to spice it up from the trails, like, oh, yeah, let's go watch a movie or something, So something that we did yesterday, I felt that I love that, just being her next, and finding something that we mutually like to watch. Because if it's a little too much, we saw the Accountant 2.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Oh, it's good, man. It's
Okay.
good. If you like the first one, I mean, there's the little story. I thought because I was a little disappointed. Den of Thieves 2 and Gladiator 2. I don't know if you saw any of those two because
I didn't see Gladiator 2.
Because the part twos are like, part ones are good, and then, so I was kind of like thinking like, oh, part two might be a little cheesy, but it was actually good. I enjoyed it, man. But just going back to the basics, spend that time, that's what I love about the interaction with her, man, and doing stuff. Honestly, like doing stuff that I might not, because she got me into country music. I was never into country.
Okay.
And she got me into country. And honestly, like, I never thought I would like it. I was just all hip hop, old school, all this oldies and all this stuff, right? And then I started, like, I kind of warmed up to it. And now I love country. I'm like, oh, shoot. Like, I'm playing it at the gym. I'm playing, on my run. So I feel like she's kind of introduced me to new stuff. And she still continues to new stuff and just a different lifestyle. And then, so that tap in where it's not just like my old school ways of living, and now it's her way, and just getting introduced to some new things, new events. She likes to do different type of things. She likes to go to, these food truck events sometimes or whatever, or just her work events. And yeah, so just meeting her halfway too, and then next thing you know, I end up loving what interests her as well. Because I feel like at first, I feel like we're attracted to that attraction, right? Just the person, man, she looks beautiful, she's the one, and you get to know her, get to know the person, and you're even more. But that's still in the first couple months, whatever, where whatever it's called, the fog, or I don't know what it's called, where everything, the birds are chirping every day, like, and but to have that, and then just to continue, and then I started, like, that's where I realized, like, I have a lot of work to do, because I would always blame the female. Oh, it's because of her. She's looking for money. She's doing this, and she's all into her hair. But and in the long run, I wasn't looking at myself, man. I was just this selfish guy, like huge selfish. Like, now I think about it, just selfish, man. So that's what it comes down to, and nothing I'm proud of. Definitely nothing I'm proud of. But it's just the way it was, man. And once I've been able to break down those walls, kind of relearn some stuff, like some of that machismo stuff. Maybe I saw like my dad or doing this, or just like, this is how you're supposed to treat a woman or something, which all this false stuff, which I had to almost kind of like relearn how to treat a woman. And because, yeah, you have your mom, and you're like, oh, I would never treat my mom like this and do this. But then here I am, treating another woman like that. So I definitely try to, you know, the mom with Myra, treat her like, am I going to talk to her like that? No. Okay. Am I
Mm,
going to do that to my mom? So just kind of having uh, that growth and just awareness of that every single day is definitely a challenge, man. Not challenge, but I feel like it needs to be addressed
mm.
on there.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's great. That's great that that's what you're doing, man. That's awesome. Yeah, we need to think about our spouses like that more often. And it's good that you're having that retrospect and reflecting on not just doing what your parents did, but I feel like a lot of times in relationships we kind of shut our spouse down with things that we're not interested in. Country music, right? Farmers markets, Pottery Barn, and you're just like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But then, yeah, that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is simply just, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then all of a sudden, you're like, hey, you know what? Country music's not bad. Or, you know, I like that piece of pottery now. Well, I don't know what they do at Pottery Barn, but just keeping an open mind and, trusting that they're not going to give you a bad time, or
Yeah.
steer you in the wrong direction.
Yeah, man. No, I've come to believe like I'm truly blessed with her. Um, you know, because I remember, and even in my darkest moments of life, looking up like one of those like you look up at the sky and be like, please God. I remember saying those type of prayers. Send me an angel.
Mm,
Send me
nice.
a Myra. Like
Mm,
that's what I was. I would always think that. Like I would always have those little silent prayers and send me a Myra. And I feel like I'm definitely. I mean, I'm not hardcore religious right now, but I totally feel like she was delivered as an angel to me. Like we were supposed to collide at that time, man. That until I was ready to stop being this bachelor guy or whatever, um, or and and then being open to new ideas, breaking down the walls of my belief system, or just being open to breaking down
mm,
those walls, man. Because I felt like I was guarding it like pretty tight, like these are the Jerry's ways, the Jerry's commandments of relationships and how the man should be. I kind of felt like it was all BS, like that, all that stuff, man. And that's
mm,
where you find yourself being alone. Yeah, you might have times of pleasure, a night of pleasure here and there, but there's a lot of loneliness. I remember a lot of loneliness, man, and because when you are going through something and you try to call back and circle back to that person that maybe you ghosted before or something, they're like, why are they gonna answer your call and hear your stuff? They don't care
yeah.
because you weren't there for them, and so I'll never forget those days, man. Like, just being, I just always and trying to fill that gap, always trying to fill that void. Um,
I appreciate you sharing that because there's some people that might be listening to the podcast that might be feeling the same way. And they may think that that's just the way their life's going to be. They're never going to find that person. But it worked out for you.
yeah,
So you could
yeah,
be their motivation for sure.
yeah. Thank you, man. No,
So we're about an hour and a half, hour 32 minutes. I'll ask you one last question. It's one of the questions I like to end with here, and that is: do you fart and or poop in front of your wife?
um, have you have you ever heard of a? I mean, you know what a Dutch oven is?
Yeah. Nice.
She didn't know what a Dutch oven was.
Uh,
So I remember. I'll tell you the story because she got heated. She didn't like it at all.
okay.
I was like, Dutch oven, and I threw the covers over us, and I just like I ripped, and she was just like boom, 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 fighting like what the like she was mad. I think we go back about mad. Like she was heated. I remember that if you
Mhm.
want to talk about one time, I never did that again. No, that was the first and last Dutch oven I ever done. But no, she doesn't, man. And I try not to, man. Sometimes you leak it out, whatever, but the protein or something like that. But I try my best. But every time I try to sneak it in, she's like, "Oh my gosh, open the door, or open the window, or something like that." But it for me, like I'm in the house. I try my best to be respectful on it, but there's sometimes I can't make it outside to the thing. But I like to share about that Dutch oven story, man. And I remember there was a couple of times like I pretended I was gonna Dutch oven, and then she just like punched she didn't give me a chance. She hit the covers, man. But yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Jerry, I appreciate you taking your time and coming on the podcast. I appreciate you being on. I very much enjoyed it and taking the time. So I just want to say thank you, and this has been great.
Hey, the honor was mine, man. I think this definitely helps me out. Like I said, to kind of circle back, see where I'm at, and kind of improve on that. So, and it was a long time coming. We were going back and forth.
Yeah.
I got busy at work, man. So I'm glad we were able to sit down and talk, man. Just kind of like, hey, what's going on, and just kind of shoot the stuff, man. It's all good, man.
Do you have anything else you want to add before we get off here?
I just want to tell, hey, Myra, I love you very much. And you mean, and I say this honestly, that, you make me a better person every single day, every moment. And I'm just with you gone right now. I miss you. So I can't wait for you to come home. That's it, man.
Nice. That's the end of the podcast, and I just want you to know that it is okay to love your wife.